Welcome, everyone. First, I hope everyone is healthy and safe and doing what they need to do to stay that way. My name is Andrea Ray, and I have the pleasure to serve as the President CEO at the Chamber. And on behalf of our board and staff, thank you for being with us here tonight. It's an honor to welcome you to our 32nd Government Affairs and Public Officials reception. As we begin our gathering, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that our event today, although virtual, is taking place on occupied Coast Salish land, and the Seattle Southside Chamber is on the homelands of the Duwamish people. We pay respect to the Coast Salish elders, past and present, and extend that respect to their descendants and to all Indigenous people. Thank you. This copyrighted webinar is presented by the Seattle Southside Chamber of Commerce and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Chamber. A little Zoom housekeeping. I know that we should be used to all of this by now. And thank you again to everyone for joining us. This event was scheduled to be in person. And then due to the COVID pandemic, the increases in cases and transmissibility of the virus, we did move it to be virtual. So again, really appreciate you joining us and being so flexible and having to pivot. It is a Zoom event. We'll be spotlighting the candidates when it's time for them to join their respective panel. And you can help us guide our questions when we launch a few Zoom polls to help us know what issues are top of mind for you. You are also able to turn on closed captions. Just click that CC button at the bottom of your screen and select Show Subtitles. Thank you so much to our sponsors who help make this event possible: Amazon, the Boeing Company, Baker Commodities, and South King Media. Scott and Teresa Schaefer have been tireless advocates for our region and for small businesses. And we are so grateful for them and for all of their support. They're recording this event now so that those that can't join with us live can watch the event later at their convenience. We also want to thank our presenting sponsor, Amazon. We are so honored that Jared Axelrod from Amazon is here with us today to share a few words. Jared, over to you.
Well, thank you, Andrea, and good evening, everybody. I'm Jared Axelrod, and I lead local public policy and external affairs in Washington State for Amazon. Amazon is proud to be one of the presenting sponsors for the Seattle Southside Chamber's 2021 Public Officials and Candidates Night. And you said at the beginning, Andrea, this is the 32nd. Amazing that this has been going on for so long, and hopefully for 32 more years and beyond. Of course, we all wish we could be in person, but we're still excited nonetheless to connect and get together with the public officials and candidates in the South Seattle area this evening. Amazon is proud to be the largest private employer in Washington State. We now have more than 80,000 full and part-time jobs in Washington, many of them in Tukwila, Seatac, and other communities across South King County. And we can continue to hire. As you may have seen, we announced last week that we have plans to hire 125,000 more jobs across the US, including 2,000 right here in the Puget Sound region. These local jobs in fulfillment and transportation offer an average starting pay of more than $18 per hour, sign-on bonuses of more than up to $3,000, comprehensive benefits that begin on the first day of employment, and access to training programs that make these roles a springboard to a long-term career. And if you're interested in learning more, you could do so at amazon.com/apply. Now, frequently asked, what does Amazon look for in communities when deciding where to invest or expand? And the thing that I tell them, one of the top qualities that we look for is partnership, and specifically partnership with the public officials and policymakers who represent these communities. We want to work with public servants who want to work with us in order to serve our customers, bring economic prosperity to all, and help find solutions to the common challenges that our communities face. This spirit of partnership is also important to help ensure we have a policymaking process that is inclusionary and that everyone has a seat at the table, not just a select few. And so that is why I am so appreciative of the work that the Seattle Southside Chamber does in bringing the business community and the public sector together in this spirit of partnership. So Andrea, thank you to you and your team for the work you do on behalf of all South King County communities. I also want to particularly acknowledge and express our appreciation for the public officials across the region for your service as well. We know, and those of us who are in this field know, that it is not an easy job being a public servant. But we do need smart, pragmatic, and dedicated public servants in office who want to focus on governing and serving the public and not focus on ideological activism. So to those of you running for office for the first time, thank you. Thank you for your bravery and for putting yourself out there to serve the public. And to those running for re-election, thank you for your willingness to continue serving your communities. With that, I'm looking forward to a fun and engaging evening tonight. So again, thank you all for attending. Thank you for your service, and look forward to a fun evening tonight. Thanks, Andrea. Back over to you.
Perfect. Thank you again so much, Jared, and thank you to Amazon. Again, I just want to welcome everyone. It's our 32nd Government Affairs and Public Officials and Candidates Night, and we're just so thrilled that you can be here to join us this evening. Our chamber is a nonprofit business organization that has served the communities of Southwest King County since 1988. We focus on business advancement and creating opportunity in South King County because we know that economic equity and development doesn't just happen. We need to work together, all of us, to raise our tide, and we're proud to do that every day. We were founded on the belief that we are better and stronger together, and it is in that same spirit of collaboration that I welcome you here tonight. A few other items as we begin. You'll notice that some of our panels are full and some less so. Back in May, we asked all candidates to save the date for this event. Staff reached out multiple times over the last 5 months to ensure that all candidates were aware of the event and could participate should they choose. We also offered the opportunity for candidates to complete a questionnaire, which you can also find on our website. And we encourage everybody who's watching to go to our website, find the questionnaires to get a little bit more information about each candidate. We believe that it is vital for our community to have time and opportunities to engage and participate in a fair and equitable way with our elected officials and with those running for office, which is why we have always prioritized hosting this nonpartisan event. Some candidates have chosen not to participate tonight. Some were simply unavailable. Some have had emergencies that have popped up. What we are so very grateful for is for you, for those that have made the time to join with us, for those who did take the time to submit the questionnaires, to participate and to engage, and of course to all of our community members that are joining us. This is a live event, and we have done our best to organize and frame the timing. So thank you so much for your understanding as we do our best to stay on track. We might not have time to get to every question and tackle every issue with only around 20 minutes for each panel. I can guarantee you that we will not have time to get to every issue that matters to you. But we hope that we will get time to tackle the top issues, and you'll have an opportunity to vote on what those top issues are when we launch our polls. I also want to take a moment just to thank all of our elected officials that made time to be with us here today. There's a list here of everyone who is here in attendance. We are so grateful for the partnership. We are so grateful for the engagement. As Jared said, it takes supreme courage and bravery to serve and to be called to that public service. And we salute you all, and we thank you all for your bravery and your courage, and are so grateful that you are willing to work on behalf of our community. Here is the agenda for tonight. What we're going to be doing, we will bring up the candidates in the following order. 5:20, we will welcome our Tukwila City Council candidates. We might start a little early if I can have staff confirm that we have everybody here in attendance. We will then move on to Seatac City Council. We had saved some time for Normandy Park City Council candidates. Many of the Normandy Park City Council candidates are running unopposed, and I do not believe that any of them have confirmed their attendance tonight. So if we get to that part of the program and we do not have any elected officials from the City of Normandy Park in attendance, we will simply take just a brief intermission so that we can still stay on track with our timing. We will then go on to Des Moines City Council, Burien City Council, Port of Seattle Commission, King County Council, and then King County Executive. How this will work for every panel is that we will launch an interactive poll. And so at the beginning of each panel, a poll will pop up in front of your screen. And as an attendee, you will have an opportunity to pick what local issue is top of mind for you. And then that poll will go away. Staff will see which is the local issue that is the top local issue. I will then start with the icebreakers. Each candidate will have an opportunity to introduce themselves by answering what we hope will be a fun icebreaker question. They'll have 2 minutes to respond, and Preston will be keeping track of timing. Preston, do you want to unmute yourself just really quickly and let candidates know that the noise they will hear if they have hit their timing? Should have heard a bell. I didn't hear a bell very loud. No. So
can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Let me try one more time.
Okay. Yep, I can hear you then. And then you let me know if I need to be the bell ringer and you can bring the bell over to me.
Did you hear the bell?
That last time, but not the first couple times. Yes.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, perfect. All right, thanks everybody. So that's the noise you'll hear. It's just a simple bell. Then we will go into a lightning round. Those will be just quick, yes or no questions from our Government Affairs Committee. You can choose how you want to respond to those yes or no questions. You can give me some thumbs up, you can give me thumbs down, you can do a big X, you can use the Facebook reactions, however you want to indicate your support or your opposition for that yes or no lightning round question. About 6 lightning round questions. Then we will go into that local issue. So depending on what is the top issue as voted by the poll, we will go into that local issue question. The candidates will have 1 minute to respond to that local issue question. Every candidate will answer the same question. If we have time, then we will ask questions from the attendees who are here with us this evening. You can ask that question by just typing it into the chat. Staff will get me those questions and we will do our best, again, time permitting, to go ahead and answer those questions from the audience. And so with that, I think we're just about ready to get started. Final note, just to remind everyone to please respect our culture of kindness and inclusion. Do not address the candidates. Candidates, please do not address each other. Simply respond to me and the attendees that are here. Any behavior that is disrespectful or disrupted will not be tolerated. I know we even have some local classes who are planning to watch this event as part of their civics classwork. And I have complete faith that everyone participating tonight, whether as a candidate or as an attendee, will of course conduct themselves with kindness and respect. And so with that, I think we are a little early to bring up our Tukwila panel, but maybe we do have everybody from Tukwila and we can start a little early and we can go ahead and bring up that poll so people have some time to take a look at that poll. So you can see the poll that is up there. We have deduced, what are some of the top local issues that are happening within the city of Tukwila. There's the new 42nd Street Bridge. There's homelessness and encampments. There's development in the South Center Business District. Of course, there's COVID business and recovery, and there's the new King County vaccine verification program. So you can continue to go ahead and vote while I know our producer will be bringing up the people that are for that first panel, the Tukwila City Council. We will start with introductions and asking an icebreaker question. And again, just a reminder, you have 2 minutes to respond. And the first question is going to go to Tosh Sharp. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream? Please introduce yourself and let us know what your favorite flavor of ice cream is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Hello, my name is Tosh Sharp, running for Tukwila City Council Position 1. My favorite ice cream will be chocolate chip. So real simple, chocolate chip, thanks.
Perfect, thank you so much, Tosh. Next, I am going to Armin Papyan. If you were a superhero, and I'll just pause for a second. Oh, there, we got the timer done. Perfect. Armin, if you were a superhero, what superhero would you be?
If I was a superhero, I will first introduce myself. My name is Armin Papyan. I'm running for Tukwila City Council, position number 1. And thank you so much for having me here today. To answer your question, Andrea, if I were a superhero character, I would be a Superman. It was my childhood movie that I used to watch almost every single day. So we'll love to be the Spider-Man.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That is a favorite at our house too. Next, Dennis Martinez. Oops, sorry guys, that's my phone going off. What is your theme song? Mr. Martinez, what is your theme song? Please introduce yourself and answer our icebreaker.
Hello, my name is Dennis Martinez, and I guess my favorite song would be Donald Byrd, Places and Spaces, jazz.
Awesome, thank you so much. Next, Thomas McLeod, please introduce yourself and answer our icebreaker question. What's your most listened to song on your playlist?
Let me ask a clarify. Are the next 2 minutes mine?
They are yours to spend however you would like. Absolutely.
Okay. So my name is Tom McLeod. I am running for Tukwila City Council position number 3. Let me answer the question first, and I'll tell you a little bit more about me. I don't know if I have a playlist with a favorite song. I like softer, more jazz type stuff or some older R&B stuff. So it would probably be something from that genre if I were to pick one. I'm running for Tukwila City Council re-election. I've been on the council for 6 years. This is the 6th year. Previous to that, I served for 6 years on the Planning Commission. Gave me some great exposure to some of the land use needs in our city. And my daytime job is a tax accountant at a CPA office here in Bellevue. So I've been one of those that have been dealing with all the changes in tax law and deadlines over the last 2 years during COVID, which really allowed me more experience to learn how to pivot and innovate during a stressful time like COVID has provided us. I feel strong in my experience and exposure to budgeting, which I think is important for a councilman since we oversee the budget and are policy makers. So I feel pretty passionate about the work we've done so far on council up till now, but I believe there's more work to do, and I'm looking forward to doing that work for 4 more years. So I would love your support, and I really feel that I'm pro-business, and if you check my track record or a chance to talk about it, you'll see that. So Tom McLeod for Tukwila City Council, position number 3. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next, Mohammed Abdi, you have the opportunity to answer the question and introduce yourself for 2 minutes. What is your favorite junk food or snack?
Thank you so much, Andrea, for and everybody in the chambers for allowing me to be here today. It's an honor and privilege. Again, my name is Muhammad Abdi, and I'm running for Tukwila City Council Position 5. To answer your question, what is my favorite junk food? I'm a chips kind of guy. You know, I like chips. I think chips goes with just about anything. So anything hot, honestly, it could be hot Cheeto Puffs, it could be Tapatio, any of those things. I think, I don't know, I'm a big chips guy. So yeah, that's my favorite junk food. And yeah, you know, a little bit about me. I'm a long-time Tukwila resident, and you know, I'm 24 years old. You know, run for Tukwila City Council. So for me, you know, I'm trying to give back to the community that raised me the man I am today. I moved to Tukwila in '97 when I was an infant, and yeah, I just wanna give back, and also, you know, hopefully inspire people that, you know, that, hey, you know, even if you're young, you can and should be able to run for office, you know. And yeah, I'm just honored to be here today, and yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And next, Deshaun Quinn. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself and speak to all of our attendees today. And of course, answer this icebreaker question. If you were trapped in a sitcom, what sitcom would that be?
That's a tough question. Good evening. My name is Deshaun Quinn, and I am running for the Tukwila City Council position number 7. I'm committed to public service and policymaking. So if I was trapped in a sitcom, I would say Seinfeld, because of the many different iterations and experiences that I've actually had in my life in some of those episodes. So that would be one I'd be comfortable being trapped in.
Fantastic. Appreciate it, Mr. Quinn. I think sometimes in my job, I feel like I'm trapped in Parks and Rec, and sometimes it's the West Wing, and sometimes it's all in between. So yeah, I appreciate that. Seinfeld's a great show. Next, last but not least, of course, we have Jay Stark. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, to talk to all of our attendees here today, and of course, answer this icebreaker question, which is, what is your favorite children's story?
Well, thank you for having this and hosting this event, Andrea, and the chamber. My name is Jay Stark, for those folks watching. I am running for position number 7 for our city council. My favorite children's book is probably going to be Where the Wild Things Are. It just brings back great memories from my childhood. And you know, I still get a kick every time I see the monsters, you know, on TV and in print. But I wanted to just give you a little bit of background about myself. I'm a 25-year technology entrepreneur, business person. I currently work for T-Mobile. As you can see, I'm sporting my my Southside Chamber shirt, my business shirt. I'm very focused on the business community. Being from the business world myself, my wife is a small business owner that we run out of here in Tukwila. We moved here from Seattle about 3 years ago, and co-founded a business district down in just over the border in Georgetown, Seattle, which was the Seattle Design District Association, which supports the design community. And we've already seen, we moved here 3 years ago because Seattle was just getting out of control. But we've already seen lots of other folks in the design community move to Tukwila with no promotion whatsoever. They just wanted to get away from the Seattle politics and bad policy. And so we've already seen some of those folks move down here. And I want to promote Tukwila as the second design center of the Seattle area. And I'm really looking forward to getting on board and promoting small businesses and the design community here in Tukwila. Thank you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Everybody's being so good on their time. I appreciate it. Thank you. So now we're getting ready to go into the lightning round. So again, those reaction, buttons are here. You can, do a thumbs up if you like something, certainly you could do a heart. You can also just do the old fashioned way and, thumbs down or big X if you're a no, you don't like something. So we're going to go ahead and start that now. There's 6 questions. And the first question that we will ask is, do you support Housing First as a model to help combat the housing crisis in our region? Again, do you support Housing First as a model to help combat the housing crisis in our region? See some reactions there. Perfect. Great. Thank you so much. All right, we've got the hang of this. I appreciate it. Next question. If fully funded, do you support safe injection sites as a model to help combat the opioid crisis in our region? Again, if fully funded, do you support safe injection sites as a model to help combat the opioid crisis in our region? Perfect. All right, we've got all of those registered. Thank you. Next question. Do you think economic development is important to the future of Tukwila? Again, do you think economic development is important to the future of Tukwila? Perfect. Thank you. Next question. Do you think that current policy does enough to encourage or incentivize development and or redevelopment? Again, do you think current policy does enough to encourage or incentivize development or redevelopment? Perfect. Thank you so much. Next question. Do you think it's important to fund and support marketing efforts in our region for business advancement, recruitment, and tourism? Again, do you think it's important to fund and support marketing efforts in our region for business advancement, recruitment, and tourism? Okay, thank you. Last lightning round question. Do you or will you include the business community as part of outreach and public engagement when considering policy? Again, do you or will you include the business community as part of outreach and public engagement when considering policy? Perfect. All right. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate that. I know some of these questions are a little hard, yes or no's, but it's good just to get a temperature check on some of your opinions on some of those issues that are important to our members. Now we're going to go ahead and go into the lightning round, the local issue question. And in looking at our poll, and if staff want to go ahead and end that poll right now, it looks like homelessness and encampments is the top concern for people in the community right now. And so I'm going to ask you a question on homelessness and encampments. And then we will go ahead and go in reverse order. So starting with you, Jay, since you went last, you're going to go first this time, and we'll just go backwards that way. And just a reminder that you'll have 1 minute to respond to this question. And that question is, what role, if any, should encampments play in addressing homelessness in Tukwila? Again, what role, if any, should encampments play in addressing homelessness in Tukwila?
Yes, thanks. Great question. This is one of the big reasons why my wife and I moved with our business out of Seattle in the Georgetown area. If you guys have been up there, it's awful. The decommissioned RVs are parked on the roads. The tents that are given out by Seattle City Council to the homeless, where they put the tents up on sidewalks where you can't even use them as sidewalks any longer. And then the trash and the drugs and the needles and quite frankly, the crime that comes out of these homeless camps because they are funding their drug habits. So we definitely need to make sure that Tukwila does not go down that same hole that Seattle has. In fact, that's why businesses are moving out of Seattle. So we want to make sure that we are a destination that respects private property and public property, that allows for safe interaction of customers and business owners to get to their businesses without worrying about homeless encampments.
Perfect. Thank you much. Right on the button there for a minute. Appreciate it. Next, we will go to you, Deshaun Quinn. Again, the question, what role, if any, should encampments play in addressing homelessness in Tukwila?
They should play no role. We just had a briefing in Tukwila about our process where we provide resources for folks, but we have a firm hand on they cannot be or create encampments in the city of Tukwila. And what needs to happen is also our investment in the mental health professionals. Also creating housing options for people. We have multiple resources in the city of Tukwila. And just being fundamental that parks were for play and for community, not for encampments. And we have a responsibility to respect the next generation, that they have the same experiences that we had when we were younger, having these options, these parks for families. And so again, they play no role. And the community has been pretty clear about it. And we've been consistent with policies, practices, and funding to make sure that those things don't happen, but also to be firm when we have to, because we've looked at resources.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that on time. Next, Mohammed Abdi, what role, if any, should encampments play in addressing homelessness in Tukwila?
I think they shouldn't take a role. I think for me, I think that we need, kind of like Deshaun said, we need more mental health, resources. We need, more housing options for every resident, and I think that as a person who's trying to do more research, on this topic, I know that homelessness is not only a big issue just in Tukwila, but it's a big issue in the whole state in general and in Seattle. And so I think that we as people, as human beings, as servants of, just in society, we need to do a better job of just being more inclusive to those who are the less fortunate, that don't have the opportunities that everybody has. And yeah, we need to have more rehabilitation centers, more mental health services provided for everybody, and everybody deserves that equal opportunity. So that's just what I have to say about that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Next, Tom McLeod. What role, if any, should encampments play in addressing homelessness?
Thank you. So this is a really big issue, not just for Tukwila regionally. I'm not in favor of the encampments that can just pitch a tent anywhere, but I think we also have to embrace the reality. I mean, for instance, the hand that disciplines is also going to have to be the hand that loves. And so I think it's really important that we don't encourage, in fact, we discourage, but there are certainly boundaries that the state mandates that we've got to play within as a city. But I want our parks to be safe. I want our trails to be safe. I don't want people to feel that these areas have been overtaken. So I am not in favor of them, but I do think we need a solid plan and a policy that deals with people in that situation, why they're there. I think we need to address the mental health issue that's a part of it, which is something we've done in Tukwila by instituting a mental health component to our to work with our law enforcement. So it's a complicated issue, but I'm not supportive of them. And I believe that we need to make sure these areas are safe for our residents.
Beck, thank you. Appreciate that. Next, Dennis Martinez, what role, if any, should encampments play in combating homelessness in Tukwila?
Hi. So they shouldn't play any role. And to answer your question, real blunt is, I think I'm the only candidate in Tukwila that lives next to a park. For the last 5 years, during the fall and winter, I've had homeless people sleeping in the park on the park benches. and I do understand, what's going on. I'm a member of the Catholic Church here in Tukwila, and we've had people living in the parking lot there, and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help us that we are sympathetic, but what it is a regional, it's a national problem, to be honest with you. You can go anywhere. But I remember back even 13 years ago when we were doing the deep bore tunnel there, in Seattle, they were sleeping on the sidewalks then, and it just exacerbated itself. We have to find some solution, and it's, unfortunately, it's not a city issue or a county issue. It's a state and a nationwide issue that needs to be addressed.
Thank you so much. Armin Papillon, same question for you. What role, if any, should encampments play?
Yeah, I believe so. We need to be compassionate around people that are experiencing homelessness, but at the same time, encampments are not safe. We should not allow them. They are not safe for the people living inside the encampments and for the people around them. So in those same neighborhoods, I think we need to take very unique approaches. For example, housing first, adding mental health facilities, and then also enforcing the code enforcement at the same time. We could do both all at the same time. And this is a regional issue. I really think we need to work together with all the cities across. It's a national issue, as said before. And we need the support of King County and all these regions to come together. And homelessness is an issue that I personally experienced and have worked around at the University of Washington, Tacoma, where we provided 130 students with affordable housing. And we have seen very positive results where students are graduating on time with zero loans. And this is a big investment. And I think we should apply similar projects to here for Tukwila, for the people experiencing homelessness here in Tukwila. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. And now, last but not least, Tosh Sharp, your chance to answer the question.
Yes, as far as homeless encampments, those are not the solution. I want to start off by saying that homeless people should be treated with dignity and with care. They're humans. So when we as a city and citizens decide to find a solution to that problem, homelessness is not going away. So we should find a solution that works for everybody. To me, I would think like long-term care, long-term housing with homeless in mind, and since they're not going away, some model like the Shag, building a building similar to that with staff and resources that folks who are high risk like the homeless can use and lean on. Studies have shown that having homeless housed by our society is far cheaper than having them on the street. So for me, that's the model that I would go to. They're not our enemy. They're just people that need our help, and we need to find a cost-effective way to find a solution to that problem. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you so much. And we are right at time. And so unfortunately, we don't have time to ask if there are any questions, other questions from the audience, but we will thank all of our Tukwila City Council candidates for joining us this evening. Of course, you're welcome to stay and listen to other panels, or you are welcome to drop off. And so we will now be unpinning you and starting to pin our Seatac candidates. Again, thank you so very much for joining us. Again, so appreciate your patience as we're navigating all of these things. I will now ask staff to go ahead and pop up that Seatac issue poll so that all of our attendees can vote on what is the Seatac issue that is top of mind for them. And I see it has been popped up there. Again, citing a second airport, police service contract with King County Sheriff's Office, the impacts of Seatac Airport, business recovery, or King County vaccine verification. So you have a few more minutes to continue to register your responses while we go into the introductions. Again, just a reminder that you have 2 minutes to introduce yourself and answer the icebreaker question. You can please feel free to use that full 2 minutes however you would like to introduce yourself and talk to us about your campaign and your candidacy. The first person who will be introducing themselves and answering an icebreaker question is Jake Simpson. Jake, welcome. What is your favorite flower or plant?
Thank you for the opportunity to do this. The issue of car, I'm driving a 92 Volvo, and that's going to be my car for the next several years, I think. I've been on the council for 2 consecutive council sessions. I was put on the session by the vote of the council in 2019 and again in 2020. So I've twice served without being elected, which is an unusual experience. And I suggest that is probably the way to go for all you people that do not like to be going through the election process. Seatac is a very unique city. I mean, it's unlike most other cities in our area. And we have a very vulnerable economy that has to be addressed in all of our decision making. And it's one of the things that a lot of people don't appreciate. And our council works very hard to have a sustainable city. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, with 2 minutes to introduce themselves, talk about their campaign, and answer an icebreaker is Mohammed Eagle. Mohammed, if you were going to sail around the world, what would the name of your boat be?
That will be freedom. Yes, and I can imagine sailing in somewhere in the Pacific, in between Australia and New Zealand. My name is Mohammed Igal. I'm running Seatac City Council position number 4. It's not my first time. It was second time. And the reason I'm running is that I believe we need city that put people first. Not business, not building, but people. Because what makes Seatac beautiful place, exceptional place to live, is the people who live in this city. People who get up 5 in the morning and go to work. So I have been working in the neighborhood, and people are talking about economic recovery, business, small business, economic recovery, housing, all of those, traffic, and actually sidewalks. I know the city is doing a little bit there, so I have to admit that. So that's my agenda. That's why I'm running, and yeah, and thank you for the opportunity.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Again, next person with 2 minutes to introduce themselves, talk about their campaign, and answer an icebreaker will be Clyde Hill. Clyde, if you could add anyone to Mount Rushmore, who would it be?
Oh boy, that's a good one. I would say probably Rosa Parks, who played a significant role in trying to bring equity and equality to persons of color back in the Southwest. She took a position on the bus, which was unheard of before, and she made a stand. And I think that was one of the opportunities that continued to lead people to think about equality and treating folks justly. My name is Clyde Hill. I am a lifetime resident of the South End. I was born in Seattle because I don't think there was a hospital in Burien at the time, or one that would support birthing, but I've lived in Burien most of my life. My wife and I raised our children there. Part of the upbringing of our children was to instill that community service is something that they owe to their community. And so we raised our kids that way. And I continued volunteering up until I ran for election 4 years ago. And I have been seated on the city council for 4 years. I think my history shows that I am an independent candidate, independent thinking, and I am not distracted by outside regional influences. I'm heads down, making our city a continuing better place to live. I've served on the Parks and Recreation Committee, where we've enhanced our parks and expanded. We are expanding our parks. And also I'm proud that we have been working on the Housing Action Plan to help bring better balance of housing. Those are just a few items.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Iris Guzman. Iris, you have 2 minutes to answer this question and talk about your campaign. The question is, what's your favorite breakfast food?
So my name is Iris Guzman, and my favorite breakfast food is pumpkin pancakes, and it's pumpkin season. So this is my favorite season of the year. I am a school social worker for the Highline Public Schools, and I am situated at the Seatac schools, the secondary schools. And so the last few years that I've been working there, I've seen where Seatac is doing great for our community. And then I've also seen where we can do better. And for me, it's very important, one, to acknowledge that we are on Coast Salish land, and two, that our community has changed over the past couple of decades, and we need to be responsive to those changes, especially to our new residents and our new American residents. As someone who is a child of immigrant parents, I know what it's like to walk into spaces and communities where I don't always feel welcomed and I don't always feel like I have a seat at the table. And I'd like to change that, because it's important to acknowledge that we all come from somewhere, that we are not original inhabitants of this land. And so we need to make sure that as folks arrive from different parts of the world, different parts of the region, even if we're coming from, say Seattle to Seatac, that we are all working together and that we are bringing our differences as strengths and building upon that, and that we're not viewing them as deficits, and that we're not continually pointing out how long we lived here or how we've contributed in one way or another, because there's different ways that people contribute that aren't always tangible or quantifiable, but it does make our region stronger and better. And that's something that I want to make sure that someone like me has a seat at the table, so that other folks know that they too can have a voice.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Next, we are going into our lightning round questions. So again, whatever reaction you would like, whether that's good old fashioned thumbs up, whether you want to use the Facebook reactions, whether you want to do thumbs down, it's totally your call. First question for everyone: do you support funding for healthcare and mental health to help keep our communities healthy and safe? Do you support funding for healthcare and mental health to help keep our communities healthy and safe? Great, thanks everyone. Next question. Do you support efforts to develop a second commercial airport to meet our region's future air passenger and cargo demand? Do you support efforts to develop a second commercial airport to meet our region's future air passenger and cargo demand? Everybody's registered. Perfect. Next question. Do you support the port's sustainable airport master plan to meet future demand at Seatac? Do you support the port's sustainable airport master plan to meet future demand at Seatac? Next question. Do you think it's important to include broad public outreach and engagement when making policy decisions? Again, do you think it's important to include broad public outreach and engagement when making policy decisions? Next question. Do you think it's important to fund and support marketing efforts in our region for business advancement, recruitment, and tourism? And do you think it's important to support fund marketing efforts for business advancement and recruitment? Perfect. Thank you. Last lightning round question. Do you or will you include the business community as part of outreach and public engagement when considering policy? Fantastic. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. And now it's time to close our poll and see what is the #1 issue that the community wants you to talk about. And in looking at it, it looks like it is police services and the contract with the King County Sheriff's Office. So again, Ms. Guzman, you will have the opportunity to answer this question first. You will have 1 minute to respond. And the question is, the City of Seatac currently contracts police services with the King County Sheriff's Office. Do you support a continuation of that contractual relationship, or would you like to see something else for policing in the city? So again, 1 minute, continuation of contract, or would you like to see something else?
I actually would like to see a continuation of the contract with modifications. I am aware that a big chunk of the budget goes towards that contract. My concern with severing those ties and having, say, a Seatac police department is that we may or may not have the same type of oversight and relationship out in the community that we need. And so I would be concerned about having our own police department that may not have as broad of reach in terms of being able to respond to violent crimes. As a school social worker, though, I would like to see funding go towards not just mental health, but also other types of services, so that when we have a nonviolent crises, instead of using our police resources for that, I'd like trained professionals to go to that. I've had to call non-emergency police for crisis events, and it was not helpful the way it probably is meant to be. And so I would like to continue the King County partnership, but with expanding it, adding additional services for crisis.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry, I think I don't think it was hard to hear the bell, and so that's why they muted you just there at the very end. But I think we got your last sentence, and so appreciate it. Thank you so much. Next question, again, a continuation of contract with King County Sheriff's Office, or would you like to see something else? That goes to you, Mr. Kleinhill.
Thank you. As far as the police services contract with King County goes, it is just good business sense to take a look at your contracts. We had done this recently with the regional fire department, and we ended up saving tax dollars for our citizens. We retained the same amount of services. So in essence, why the council is looking at that contract at this time is to ensure that our residents and our businesses are getting the best value for the dollars that are spent. And therefore, it's not that King County is not serving our needs. We just want to make sure that we are getting the best value. So that's why we're currently looking at that contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next is Mr. Mohammed Eagle. Same question. Continue the contract. Look at something else.
I will terminate King County Sheriff contract, and I will expand Seatac Police Department. I will hire local boys and girls who grow up in this community, who knows their neighborhood, who can walk in the neighborhood and say, "Hey, Mary," in the street. I will hire and expand it. I want to say one thing that is very important. Some people assume that people of color are anti-police. I love police. I love our firefighters. I respect them. But if you know something that you don't know, it's not something that you are comfortable. That's human nature. So I want to build a relationship with the community, especially the community of color, and hire local boys and girls from those communities so they can serve in their community. I don't think that King County Sheriff contract is serving us. I walk around in this city. There is part of the.
Sorry, we had to cut you off there. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I know 1 minute is really, really hard, and it's hard to get a lot into the 20-minute panel. It gives hopefully giving everybody a little snapshot. So I appreciate everybody's patience with that. Mr. Jake Simpson, you have the opportunity to answer this question as well.
Okay. Yeah, I've sat at a lot of bargaining tables over the years, and something that I appreciate the insight that was provided to us. And I just want to say that, like, using public safety and emergency services as a bargaining chip in this community feels like a scary decision to me. I fully support continuing the contract with the King County Sheriff's Department because I think that we need the resources that the King County Sheriff's Department is able to offer this community. And I support a regional approach to the fire service as well, because that's what our fire department needs in order to respond to crisis in this community. So thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Jake. And I'm so sorry I went out of order a little bit and passed over you, Stan Toombs. Again, I apologize. Of course, you also have an opportunity to answer the same question. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure you understand that this is an issue that's going to come before our council, so it would be inappropriate for me to state a final decision that I'm going to take until we've had the opportunity to hear all the information coming in that will be presented by all parties and press the evaluations of our professional city staff. We have tremendous amount of support for our King County Sheriff officers that serve Seatac's Police Department. It's not an issue about whether we support these officers and their administration. It's a question about what policing in Seatac is going to look like in the future and whether it will continue in the same model it is today or whether there's going to be a different model imposed on Seatac. And that's the issue that we're going to take a very close look at, as well as the costs and the performance outcomes to our citizens. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And that does conclude the panel for Seatac City Council. Again, thank you so much to all of our city council candidates who have made the time to be here with us today. Again, please feel free to stay on and listen to other city council candidates as we bring them up. And again, really appreciate it. So thank you to our producer who is now unpinning everyone from the Seatac panel. And I am now just going to ask staff if we do have anyone from the city of Normandy Park. And it looks like we do not. So I will ask if anyone, if you want to stay on, you're welcome to, and come back. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. So again, thank you so much. Brief intermission break. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, funny thing about Monopoly is that it was originally invented as a game to teach people about the dangers of monopoly corporations and trusts way back in the day, and then sort of evolved into the game that we see today, where getting everything that you can and essentially owning the whole board is, of course, the goal of the game, and therefore Monopoly. But it's just kind of an interesting piece of that. What I want to get into as a way of an introduction is that I'm running for Des Moines City Council. I ran 4 years ago. Some of you may remember that. And, a lot of the issues have stayed the same. We are finally moving forward on the marina, and that's something that I've always advocated for, is that we need to bring a marina into the 21st century, but we also need to focus on downtown. We need to have a comprehensive theme, and we need to make sure that it is someplace that businesses want to come to develop. The marina is going to help with that a lot, but it's not something that just happens naturally. The council has to make that happen. Secondly, is that we really need to focus on keeping the community involved. There's been very limited involvement by the community, and of course, COVID has made it that much harder. But even, when you can come home and watch a city council meeting in the convenience of your own home on Zoom, very few people have done it. And so I want to do whatever we can to try to make that more amenable and more accessible. I think that a lot of the projects that have been done by inviting people to come meet on particular topics, get a presentation, and do what they like and what they don't like. That was done with the marina. That can be done with downtown. That was recently done with the parks, I think, is a good way to get that kind of input. And that's the input we really need.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So we'll go a little bit out of order here, just so that we can get everybody here. So Tad, thank you so much for being here and for your flexibility. Again, you have 2 minutes to answer this icebreaker question. And your question is, have you ever completed anything on your bucket list?
Hi, my name is Tad Doviak. Yes, I did complete something on my bucket list about 10 years ago. When I turned 40, I ran a marathon. I had, since I was a kid, always thought that it would be really cool to run a marathon someday, and I was in really good shape at the time, and I thought I wouldn't get too much better shape, so I decided to run a marathon and completed that, and that was really a great sense of accomplishment. A lot of hard work went into that. As far as my campaign, I've been asked to run many times over the years, and this year I finally said yes. My focus is to work on business development downtown. I've brought to the city council before about cohesive look downtown as well with signage. Basically, I kind of subscribe to the, if you build it, they will come, which is if we have the places for people to come and visit, they'll come and visit. Des Moines has some natural beauty that we can take advantage of, and I was really heartened to see the foot ferry trial that we did this last week. Getting more foot traffic in will help revitalize downtown as well. My other focus is, of course, public safety. We have a lot of crime issues in our neighborhoods that I hear my neighbors and other citizens complaining about. If it's mail theft, car prowls, car theft, a lot of car thefts in the last couple of months. I really want to help our police department keep public safety on the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And now we have Jean. And Jean, I'm so sorry, I'm probably going to mispronounce your name, and you can correct me. Is it Octagon? And your icebreaker question is, what is your favorite dessert?
Oh, geez. Wow. I'm not quite sure. I don't eat that much dessert, but probably ice cream. So anyway, I'm Gene Oxiger, and I'm running for Des Moines City Council position 3. I've been a community activist for 45 years. And the reason I'm running is that our kids are our future, but because of the pandemic, our kids have fallen behind socially, academically, and emotionally in ways that could harm their physical and mental health for years or even decades. While the effect is universal, it's in particular, our Black and Latinx neighbors are suffering the most significant decline in life expectancy since World War II. Even those not affected by the coronavirus could suffer health problems related to poverty, job loss, eviction, or all of the above. Many kids have gone back to school this fall without having mastered the previous year's curriculum. Some kids have disappeared from school altogether, and educators worry that more students will drop out, damaging their future earnings potential. This loss of educational opportunities is not just deprived kids of better careers, it's also having a damaging impact on their lives. These are, or their life expectancy. These are not problems that our schools alone can address. Our city government has traditionally engaged with the school district to provide enriching recreational programs and before and after school supervision to help our kids succeed. Unfortunately, we've dropped the ball on that. And that's the one thing I want to do is make sure that we restore those programs and that our kids have the opportunity to succeed.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next, Priscilla Vargas, you have 2 minutes to introduce yourself and answer this icebreaker question. What is your favorite musical instrument and why?
Probably my favorite musical instrument is the piano. And why? I just love the sound that the piano, brings to my ears. And it's a wonderful instrument. So it's very versatile. With any kind of music, you'll probably hear the piano at some point. So piano, I would say. Little background about me as to my reason for running. This is my first campaign for an elected position, and I'm running for the City of Des Moines position 3. And I am very excited for the opportunity to be on this candidate evening event. I really am running to improve the quality of life for the residents of Des Moines and to build upon the solid foundation of financial stability of our city government. I am one that will be very transparent and a consensus builder. I have over 31 years of experience in the public and private sector for transportation type services with general public and people with disabilities. So that's my background. And I also have 3 years of experience working as a committee member for the City of Des Moines Senior Services Advisory Committee. So I already have built a good foundation at the city level with my experience working with the staff. And I also want to really express what my priorities are, which is public safety and certainly the development of the marina, revitalization of downtown and surrounding neighborhoods, along with the affordable housing and job creation for a livable wage. So
Perfect. Sorry, Priscilla, got you off there, but I think we got it. I appreciate it. Next, we have Tracy Buxton. Tracy, you also have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, answer this icebreaker question. What is your favorite meal to cook?
Favorite meal to cook? Something where you just add hot water. Cup of noodles. I'm so busy that whatever's easy. No, I don't personally like cup of noodles, but if you're talking about cooking for other people, serious. Okay, so about me. My platform right now is about the same as it was when I was running the first time, working for a safe, green destination community. I feel like on each of those levels, we've made some great strides while I've been in office. But there are a myriad of things we can still address in all 3 areas. So I'm very supportive when we're talking about safety. If you don't have safety, you really don't have a community. So I'm in support of policy that protects our residents and in full support of our law enforcement and all of the ideas that they are crafting to address the issues in our community. I'm in full support of what they have going. And as far as the green part, we have developed some great partnerships along the way in the last few years, very supportive of policy that can help create a greener environment and preserve the environment that we have in our parks and our water, our trees. And in regard to creating a destination community, it's already been mentioned, but fully supporting our small businesses and the invitation to large businesses and corporate activity, making our community inviting for developers. And of course, our marina development is a very exciting development. I think that's going to set the groundwork for some exciting things in our downtown corridor. So very supportive, small business, large business, creating a destination place for the region. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, Matt Mahoney, 2 minutes. Introduce yourself, answer your icebreaker question, which is, what fictional place would you like to visit?
What fictional place would I like to visit? I would say I'm a big fan of the Lord of the Rings, so probably what is it, Middle Earth or whatever, would be scary and exciting at the same time. My name's Matt Mahoney. I'm the current deputy mayor of the city of Des Moines. I've definitely enjoyed my first term here as it's finishing up. A few things about me: I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I have 35 years of business experience, and I'm very passionate when I sign up for something. Harry Steinbrecht thinks I clone myself because I'm everywhere all the time. I've never missed a city council meeting. committee meeting, and a plethora of local meetings. I also attend a lot of the community events, help with the parade, down at the farmers market, et cetera. So I'm very engaged through the community, and I like to talk to the businesses as well. And I know many of them by their first name and have a relationship with them. And I think I'm accessible. I'm available everywhere, and I'm willing to talk with anybody and debate, discuss, and disagree or agree with any issue. I'm committed to the development of the waterfront. That's both at the marina and Redondo to improve our community. And part of that's going to be a catalyst for the downtown where we make ourselves attractive to developers, and I'm committed to that. But I'm also committed up on Pack Highway where we have transit and a light rail station coming in, where we've got some great opportunities for affordable housing, great transit opportunities, and also business opportunities as well. I'm committed to public safety, particularly our police. I think our police are on the forefront of what the new policing model is, and they look and push themselves forward. So I'm very proud of that. And as a council, we definitely support them in that regard. I'm also supportive of safe streets, paving, making sure there's paving roads and making sure there's sidewalks where our kids' schools are. And I'm—
Oh, sorry, Matt, that was 2 minutes. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Last Des Moines Council candidate is Solel Lewis. Your icebreaker question is, if you had your own talk show, who would be your first guest?
Ooh, my first guest would have to be Maxine Waters. She's a great inspiration for me, so that'd be my first guest for sure. But just to intro on me, my name is Soleil Lewis, and I'm running for City of Des Moines City Council, position number 7. I am proudly endorsed by the Washington State Educators Association, Congressman Adam Smith, the 33rd own Representative Tina Orwell, and Senator Mona Doss, just to name a few. As someone who has lived and reinvested her life into South King County, my experience as an educator on the front line, teaching students in person since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, is relevant to this moment. Teaching while my students and coworkers had not enough PPE equipment to sustain not only themselves, but their students for the full school year. Just imagine that. A teacher taking her last paycheck to buy face masks for her students. That teacher was me. The people of Des Moines deserve a council member that can advocate for their current realities. And I believe that my experiences qualified me as the right person in this time for this city council.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate everyone. I'm going to do some quick lightning rounds now. Again, remember, thumbs up, thumbs down, any reaction that you would like. 6 questions really quickly here. The current state minimum wage is $13.69 an hour. Do you support a higher minimum wage in your city? Perfect. Thank you all so much for recording your reactions. Next question. Do you support a ban on new natural gas connections to new and residential buildings in your city? And Tad, I'm realizing you are, you do not have video, so if you could just say yes or no, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Next lightning round question. Do you support raising taxes and fees to help make up for budget deficits?
No.
The line between true crime and nuisance behavior or disorder is often blurred in public perception. Do you principally agree with the broken window theory that essentially indicates that when a problem goes unattended in a given environment, it can impact attitudes towards that environment and lead to more problems?
Yes.
Thanks, everyone. Do you support raising taxes and fees to help raise money to support more police and other public safety services?
Yes.
Last lightning round question. Do you or will you include the business community as part of outreach and public engagement when considering policy?
Yes.
Perfect. Great. And we are running a little bit behind. So I'm going to try to hurry this up. And we have one issue question we do want everybody to answer. This is 1 minute to answer the issue question that people most want to hear you talk about, which is marina redevelopment. And for the marina redevelopment question, it is, the city has prioritized the marina redevelopment project to encourage investment and economic development. Do you agree with that strategy? Why or why not? And we're going to go in reverse order. So Scylla Lewis, you were the last for the introductions. And so we will ask that you go first this time around. You have 1 minute to answer that question.
I appreciate all of the positive things that the marina redevelopment has done for this community. But after talking to countless voters in Des Moines, I've also heard, that some constituents are upset that it's costing too much money. And also, when commentary was available, it was too late in a sense. And for citizens in our community to be totally engaged, this city is a city of 31,789 people. It's not a community of 30% who live right down in the marina, who we can only receive commentary for those who are the boat owners and specific populations in that 30%. But we forget about those in the 70% in North Hill who are working class families who have 2-3 jobs, those in Redondo and Zenith. There is an impact into the consideration on how those tax dollars are spent in that 70% density in this city.
Perfect. Sorry. Thank you. That was a minute. Appreciate it. 1 minute for Matt Mahoney. Marina redevelopment. Agree or disagree?
Well, absolutely agree with it. Basically, our towns look like 1962 since 1962. And for the last 25 years, we've talked about developing the marina. We absolutely have to get it done. That is the linchpin that moves us forward to the city everybody's expecting. There will be compromise here and there, but it'll be a great community gathering point for all residents. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tracy Buxton.
Thank you. I'm in full support of marina development. I can't be more excited. Even though it's not that attractive, I love seeing that crane down there and all the materials moving forward on this project. I think it is the foundation of the exciting things that are going to be happening over the next handful of years, where the center of our community can be a gathering place, not only for our residents, but for people in our region. And it would be a place where people will come to play, recreate, enjoy art, enjoy each other, and invest into the business part of our community. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for small business and large to have that marina down there with all of the elements that are being planned to incorporate into that. I couldn't be more excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tad Doviak, same question for you.
Okay, I am in support of developing the marina and making that a better front porch for us, for people coming across on foot ferries, and being a community gathering place. It's just a stepping stone to developing more of downtown, making that a better place for people to come, visit, spend money, and make this a vibrant community, not just for our citizens, but for the entire region. Really, money makes the city go. And if we have tax dollars coming in from that development, then we can do things like pave roads, make sidewalks, do outreach with the community that needs our assistance. We'll be able to do all the things that we talk about doing, but we just haven't been able to prioritize.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Next, Priscilla Vargas, same question for you.
Well, thank you. This is a great question. I'm a firm believer in moving forward and developing the marina, and it's one of my top priorities. I really believe the marina will be an anchor for the city. As some of my colleagues have already mentioned, it's something that will not only improve for the city residents, offering so much more in the way of having opportunity within the city to have a wonderful marina and everything that comes with it, but it will also be a regional asset. And it's going to integrate the water side with the land side and passenger ferry service potentially. So it's all pretty exciting stuff. And again, it opens up more at a regional level, which is what we really want to be, because we're all connected. So again, very much a proponent and an advocate for it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Jean, same question.
I agree on the need for development of the marina. My question or my concern is about how we go about it. There are way too many questions that are cropping up that we don't have the information that we need in order to make intelligent decisions. We haven't had, one of the big things that people are asking, it doesn't matter, you know, which side you're on, is what are we gonna do about the parking? We're not getting any kind of information as to the different elements, how they're going to affect the parking down there. And this is the type of thing that we really need to slow down and, you know, take a look at. We do need to do some action right now. We are in the process of doing some action as far as dealing with the marina slips and all of that, but the rest of the development needs to be you know, better examination.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry, we had to mute your last little sentence there. Harry, you are last but not least. Same question, appreciate it.
All right, I don't think there's anybody that disagrees that it's time to bring the marina into the 21st century. It's just been way too long since we had a comprehensive look at making it an attractive, as Tad said, front porch to our city. But that's got to be done with an understanding that it needs to be available and accessible to all of the people in our city. And I think that there are a number of compromises that are being worked out in order to accomplish that. We will be able to accommodate the small boats, so the fisherman that wants to go out for the day but has a smaller boat and doesn't want to have a big slip year round has a place to put his boat and can get that put in the marina. I think that we need to make sure that there are basketball courts and play equipment down there for kids, and make sure it's still very family friendly. It needs to become a reasonable regional asset that is available to all persons. And I think that's where it's headed. And I think that's a good thing.
Perfect, thank you so much. And of course, thank you to all of our Des Moines City Council candidates who joined us this evening. We really appreciate you taking the time and being with us. So again, thank you. Our producer will start to unpin you. Again, you feel free to stay and listen to the other panels. Thank you again. And when we will be bringing up our Burien panel. So again, as we bring up our Burien panel and begin to launch our next poll, you can choose what local issue is of top concern to you in Burien. And those issues are crime and public safety, homelessness and encampments, the DESC facility, impacts of Seatac Airport, COVID business recovery, and King County vaccine verification. So again, everyone, please feel free to continue to vote while we go into our lightning round questions. Again, just a reminder, everyone has 2 minutes to answer an icebreaker question and also introduce themselves and talk about their campaign. And we will go in order by position and alphabetical, which means that Hugo Garcia, who is running for Burien City Council position number 1, will get the opportunity to go first. We'll go ahead and put that 2-minute timer up there for you, Hugo. And your question is, if you had to teach a class on one thing, what one thing would that be?
Thank you so much for the question. Really humbled and excited to be here in front of the business community here of South King County and Burien. I'm running for Burien City Council position 1, and I'll quickly answer the question to say that I would love to make sure the class that most impacted my development was home ec class, because home ec taught also how to balance a checkbook for the first time, which was something I was able to share with my own parents, because as an immigrant, that wasn't something that we were used to. So home ec was one of the ones that life skills that are applicable, and I definitely would use that. On to myself, I am a very proud product of a small business. I wouldn't even be in this country if it weren't for a small family restaurant that my dad and his cousin operated here near Buren for a number of years. So I grew up in a small business environment. I saw the challenges that our family had as a kid growing up, and it inspired me to get into finance to support small business entrepreneurs and dreamers to have access to the American dream and economic development. So I've spent 20 years helping folks access small business capital, whether it's SBA programs, federal programs, loans from small banks. I also work with a nonprofit business developer that did business lending programs and financial planning to communities that lack access to finances. And now I also serve King County as an economic development manager, where I've served on the front lines of the COVID impact and recovery. So I'm super excited to be able to have the opportunity to continue to serve and invest in Buren like I have with being your commissioner on business and planning. So thank you for this opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next is Jimmy Mata. Jimmy, again, reminder, 2 minutes to answer the question and introduce yourself. And your question is, if you could choose 2 famous people to have dinner with, who would they be?
Well, I think it would be Carlos Santana for music, and it's 2. So what would be the other one? Well, I think it would be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, let me just introduce myself. My name is Jimmy Mata. I'm currently the mayor of the city of Burien. My parents came here. They migrated here from Guatemala in 1974. I was born in 1975. So I'm very privileged to have been born in this country, the United States of America. Not only am I privileged to have been born here, but also to serve in a political office where I get to see the challenges and the successes of people. I currently am seeing the successes of my children. As we all say, we all come from somewhere. And where's the best place in the world but the United States of America? We have flavors from around the world. And so I am very pleased to be here. I want to thank the people that have contributed their money, making sure that this the candidate still continues to exist, and the work that South Seattle Chamber of Commerce is doing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Next candidate to have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and answer an icebreaker question will be Mark Dorsey. Mark, if you could be guaranteed one thing in life, what would it be?
Oh, without a doubt, happy. I just want to be happy every day. I want to be grateful. That's by far what I currently strive for. So if I can have that, I'm good. And yeah, that would feel good. So just want to say hi to all of the other candidates. I believe this is the first time that I've had a chance to see and chat with each of you or interact. So hello and congrats. So a little bit about me, especially for all the people that couldn't make it due to the technical difficulties. My name is Mark Dorsey. I am a resident of Burien for 26 years. I have 3 children that were born and raised in Burien. They went to Gregory Seahurst Elementary, St. Francis of Assisi, Sylvester, Highline, and also Kennedy. So we did the whole Highline schools. I also coached all of my children's sports teams in Burien for about 14 years. And that was through all different sports. So that's soccer, baseball, basketball, volleyball. President of the Gregory Seahurst Swim Club for 6 years, that's in Burien. MC of the St. Francis Auction for many years in Burien. I served on the Highline and Seatac Meals on Wheels for 12 years. I guess what I'm trying to convey to you is that I am a citizen of Burien. And before I even decided to run, I was invested in Burien. And I have a 26 years of experience in volunteering for my community. I love Burien. I am running for office because I didn't like the way that the direction of our city is going. rather than complain about it, I decided to make a change. So I'm excited to jump into the ring and to bring my business acumen, 30 years of founding 2 companies into City Council, and to bring some common sense and to help make my city better. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next candidate, again, 2 minutes. Introduce yourself, answer this question, is Sarah Moore. Sarah, if you could be any animal in the world, what animal would you be and why?
Did you ask that on purpose? Because there's so many animals I would try to be. I would really like to fly, though. I've always wanted to fly, and I would like to be, I think, okay, this is going to sound funny, but a turkey vulture, because they can soar for so long and just go on a full stomach and circle around, just seeing the world from a really high up point of view and get some perspective on things. So to kick that off, my name is Sarah Moore, and thank you for inviting us to this event. I'm a 19-year resident of Boulevard Park. I live in North Burien. I've raised a 19-year-old UW freshman, Noah, here, and also a 31-year-old wildlife biologist, Madeline, who is here. She returned to Burien after going to a lot of other places and chose this to be her home. My background is in STEM science education. I managed the animal exhibits, including the Butterfly House at Pacific Science Center, for many years. But my last year has been spent very differently, managing an isolation and quarantine facility for people exposed to COVID-19 and who do not have a secure place to isolate. I believe these 2 sets of experiences highlight a lot about myself. I'm focused on logical solutions, excited to share what I know, but I'm also motivated by a belief in public service and responsibility. I believe very much that individual action is important and that local governance makes a profound difference in community well-being and in people's lives. I'm running because I hope my service can make a positive difference. I give my time to Burien, volunteering overnight in our homeless shelters, sitting on our Parks Commission, co-founding and co-chairing ACLU Burien People Power. I'm a member of Burien People for Climate Action and co-founded Burien White Center Community Support Network. My commitment to Burien is strong.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Next candidate, 2 minutes to introduce yourself and answer this question, is Crystal Marks. Crystal, what is your favorite tradition or holiday?
Oh my goodness. I used to say Christmas, but since I met and married my husband and my kids have grown up, I've really loved seeing their theatrical takes on Halloween. So decorating our house for fall, getting them excited about trick-or-treating, all of that has been kind of the best thing ever. And Burien's a pretty safe community to do that in. So by way of an introduction, my name is Crystal Marks. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the current deputy mayor of Burien. I hold position 7 on the Burien City Council. And as a 6-year now Burien resident, I could not have been happier at my family's choice to move back here to where my husband spent his formative years going through grades K through 12 in the Highline School District here in Burien. I'm a mother of 4, 1 child at Hazel Valley, 2 kiddos over in Seatac, and 1 up in Edmonds, because that's just fun. Kids ranging from 6 to 14 years old. So I am running for re-election for almost the same exact reason that I ran for election 4 years ago, which centers around public safety. I feel that everyone has the right to feel safe in their community. And for some people, that means safe from crime perpetrated against them in their homes. For some, it's crime perpetrated against them as they are unfortunately living on the streets. And I think it's our job as a city council to make sure we are also taking care of our business community by making sure that when we see things like home or public safety that needs to be tackled, we're seeing it in a holistic sense, meaning we're seeing every aspect that contributes to public safety for these businesses. I'm really proud to have supported public safety enhancements throughout my last almost 4 years on council through the law enforcement assisted diversion program, supporting the storefront police presence that we have in downtown Burien that will be going into effect in October. and a lot more. And I look forward to continue to serving for the next 4 years. And I'm so grateful to be with you tonight.
Fantastic. Appreciate it. Thank you so much to all of the candidates. We will now go into our lightning round. Again, feel free to use the Facebook reactions. Feel free to use your own reactions, whatever you'd like to do. Quick questions here. First one being, do you support using B&O tax to help cover infrastructure improvements? All right. Thank you so much. Do you think that your current city policy does enough to support small business? Does your city currently have public parks that could support or accommodate camping or overnight parking? If so, do you support the ability to do so without a permit? Overnight parking, yeah, perfect. Thank you. Do you support funding for CTE and career pathway programs to help address our education and workforce needs? Do you think it's important to include broad public outreach and engagement when making policy decisions? And last one, do you or will you include the business community as part of outreach and public engagement when considering policy? Perfect, thank you. And now on to our issue question. Homelessness and encampments is the top issue that people want to hear from you on. And so I will ask that question, which again is, what role, if any, should encampments play in addressing homelessness in Burien? Again, what role, if any, should encampments play in addressing homelessness in the city? And we will go reverse order. So Crystal, since you had the opportunity to introduce yourself last, I will now ask you to answer this question first. And you have 1 minute. Thank you, candidate Crystal Marks.
Thank you. So to start off, excuse me, I am someone who spent over 6 months of my life experiencing homelessness when I was a child. I was 8 years old, living in my mother's car, under a bridge in Aberdeen, Washington, in my friends' houses, in their garage, sleeping on the floor. So I know what it's like to go through that experience. I think an encampment is a sign of a failure of society as a whole. It is not something that people tend to say, wake up one morning and go, you know what, I'd really like to develop these issues that lead me to this, this place and to move myself into this situation. However, I believe that it does take time to move people from an encampment into services that benefit them, and that takes trust and communication with a government that may not have been helpful to them in the past, with a police force that they may have seen as adversarial. So I think the role of the Burien City Council should be to equip our community service organizations to address these encampments in an ongoing relational manner, as opposed to just continuous sweeps that do nothing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Sarah Moore, same question.
Thank you. And I want to start this by centering this fact: when people are housed, we all win. I don't consider encampments to be a solution to homelessness, but a symptom of it. We can all agree that no one should be sleeping outside in Burien, and that's why I support a housing first approach to combating homelessness. Housing first is proven to be the most effective solution to ending chronic homelessness. I don't, however, believe in sweeps of encampments. Sweeping people from place to place is not a long-term or a short-term solution. Regardless of how we feel about it, it simply doesn't work, and it harms the people it happens to. Housing first does work. Housing first is the most effective tool we have in our toolbox to address homelessness, including people who are homeless and who also have substance use. Most folks who are unhoused will begin to recover from this, regardless of the behavioral health issues, once they have access to housing. It does take time to do, and I believe that we need solutions to get us there.
Thank you. Mark Dorsey, same question.
Thank you so much. I think that what I support is solutions that address specific homeless challenges. And I think that when we get into a habit of throwing around a buzzword of homelessness and throwing a solution towards it, but the problem is that being homeless, it's in a lot of different buckets. We need to identify exactly what is our homeless situation that we have. And then we need to go after and address each and every single challenge within there. So whether it's drug abuse, whether it's mental health, whether it's somebody that just lost their job, there's a lot of different ways that we need to help them in order to ensure that they succeed. So I think it's really important to dive down into the details of why these specific groups are homeless to begin with, and then provide solutions for each of those demographics.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Jimmy Mata, same question for you.
All right, well, thank you very much for that question. Now, when we talk about homelessness, we really got to talk about it in a humane way. And we have to make sure that we're bringing everybody to the table. We can talk about what we can do in the future, but let me talk to you about what we're doing here today in Darien. First of all, we knew that we had some gaps in our community. We don't have any housing for children and women in our community. And I want to thank some of the leadership that we've had in the city. We have Mary's Place that provides housing for children, housing for single women, housing for families. On top of that, we have some housing for women who, for one way or another, need housing. We don't know what their story is, but we have housing for them. Now, let's just talk about DESC, because that's something that's on everybody's mind. People that haven't been there are being involved, because I've been involved, making sure we figure out what do we have in the community. Really don't understand that what we're providing is a life-saving measure.
Sorry, Jim. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Hugo Garcia, please, same question.
Thank you. Appreciate the question. As someone who's chaired both the Buren Small Business Commission and the Planning Commission, I've worked on understanding the dynamics of homelessness and its impacts. And I know that to address it, we need to build homes. Our goal of 144 housing units a year has to be met. And we have to supplement the building of homes and multifamily housing that we for years and decades had not looked to invest in, with the services that are needed, both job creation services and programs, so that people are able to address poverty, we need to get to the root cause of homelessness, lack of opportunity. But at the same time, the state over the last few decades has not invested as much on mental health. And we're seeing regionally our small cities having to now step up and do that with programs like the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion, which is a program that the city has currently started. I want to make sure we expand on systems that provide mental health support, job placement support, and case management, not just 1 or 2 days a week, but evenings, nights, 7 days a week. So it's all about addressing it from a multifaceted place, building homes, addressing mental healthness, and no encampments.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And again, really appreciate all of the Burien City Council candidates for being here. Thank you so much. We will begin to unpin you. Again, feel free to stay and watch the rest of the panels that we have. Again, just thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and your service to the community. So thank you. And we will start to welcome our Port of Seattle candidates now. And so we will be pinning our Port of Seattle Commission candidates and welcoming them. Just a reminder, we will be going through a couple lightning round questions. You'll have 2 minutes to answer that and introduce yourself. We'll then go into a local issue question. So we will launch that poll to see what local issue matters most to the people that are here tonight. So while staff are launching that local issue poll, we will go ahead and get right into introductions and the icebreaker question. And we are going to start first with Norman Sigler. And your question is, what book do you love and would recommend that others read?
Oh, okay, nice. What book do I love? Let's see. Now I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. I think anything by Maya Angelou is worth reading, but from all of us. And as someone, you can probably hear the birds in the background, who has birds in cages, it's very resonating with me. I like to think that birds need to be free. But yeah, so that's the book that I would recommend for folks. Oh, and then about me, my name is Norman Sigler. I'm running for Port of Seattle position number 1. I'm running because the port needs bold ideas and bold leadership. I plan to lead with bold actions such as moving to carbon neutrality by 2030 instead of the plan of 2050, because we go toward what we look at. According to my driving instructor in high school, he would always tell me that the car will go wherever you look. So if we're only looking at 2015 to solve our solutions, 2050, we're not going to get there in time. Designating a portion of the port operating budget to eliminate port pollution, and designating a percentage of port profits to mitigate environmental injustices in communities impacted by port operations. I moved here in 2003 to be the manager of finance and contracts for the then $55 million engine budget at Alaska Airlines. This was my third airline after getting my MBA in finance and accounting from the University of Michigan. My aviation experience includes also working at Delta or Northwest Airlines and Continental Airlines. I will bring aviation understanding and background to the commission, as I will probably be the only commissioner in about 15 or 20 years to actually have direct aviation experience. Seatac.
Perfect. Sorry, time was up. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Next is Ryan Calkins. Ryan, your question is, have you ever met your idol or someone you admire greatly?
Yes, I have. Boy, there's been a couple of them. But when I was working in Latin America immediately after college, I had an opportunity first to work in Central America. And then I moved to Bogota, Colombia, and I worked there for a couple of years. And the head of the Colombian Council of Churches, which was the ecumenical group that oversaw where the Catholic and Protestant churches worked together, was a true hero of mine for his ability to collaborate amongst civil society to try to end a decades-long civil war in Colombia. And I got a chance to work with him and actually interpret for him for a visiting delegation. So it was truly an incredible day for me to meet him. About me, I grew up here in the Seattle area. I grew up in Edmonds. My mom is a public school teacher. She continues to substitute occasionally. My dad was a small business owner for my entire life, starting a business in the Georgetown neighborhood of Seattle when I was in college, after he had run an earlier business for 20 years that my grandfather had started. They were both import and distribution companies that focused on stone and ceramic tile. And that's actually how I got to know the Seaport. I worked for my dad. At 8 years old, I was gluing samples to sample boards. And then as a college student, I worked in the warehouse, and then came back after I had spent time in Latin America and gone to graduate school to take over the company. And I led the company for 10 years through 2016, and at which point we sold it after getting through the Great Recession. And I decided I wanted to get into politics because I had seen that side of things on the Port of Seattle and felt like I could make a difference from the standpoint of a company that had sought out sustainability in its practices and felt like we could bring it to a public agency as well. And so I'm really looking forward to another 4 years if the voters will grant that to me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Next, Hamdi Mohammed. 2 minutes to answer this question and introduce yourself. If you could change places with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm channeling Michelle Obama today. When they go low, we go high. And when you just asked what book, I was looking at Becoming. And so maybe I would trade places with her and embrace her grace. A little bit about myself. I was raised by a family of entrepreneurs. My father was a small business truck driver. My mother was a Seatac airport worker who later started her own small business as a daycare provider. And my husband has been a longtime Delta Airlines employee. And throughout college, We traveled the world in the name of tourism, thanks to our Delta benefits at that time. I know firsthand how important it is for our business community to be centered in the COVID-19 response. I really and truly believe advocating for workers truly needs to coexist with supporting small businesses in our economy. Currently, I work for King County as a policy advisor. I advise on the county's $12 billion budget and have supported initiatives that invest millions into our small businesses, community organizations, and COVID-19 response. I have the skills, relationships, and expertise in economic development to bring real results for communities in and around the port. And I am looking forward to being a strong partner for our business community to advocate for a strong COVID-19 recovery that supports the small businesses that have been impacted, especially small businesses that are operating at the port and around port communities. Thank you for inviting me today, and I look forward to answering more questions.
Fantastic, thank you. Stephanie Bowman, you are next. 2 minutes to introduce yourself and answer this icebreaker question. If you were competing in the Olympics, what would your sport of choice be?
Oh, that's so easy. Because it's a relatively new sport for the Olympics, I would be competing in windsurfing. I'm a really avid windsurfer down in the Columbia Gorge. So it would be my dream to be able to compete in the Olympics. Unfortunately, I'm nowhere near good enough to do so. But that's a great question. Thank you. A little bit about me. It's first of all, great. Thank you. It's so nice to be here with the chamber. I always feel like it's kind of a homecoming time for me when I get to talk with all of you, because I am a chamber alum. I think some of you on the call tonight know that I used to work for the Seattle Chamber many years ago, and anybody that's been involved in the chamber knows it truly is a family. And so I love the work that the Southside Chamber does, in particular with helping support the businesses in our South End. I've been on the Port Commission now for just about 6.5 years, and I have to say that I just truly love the port. I love what we do. I love the economic opportunity that we provide for the region and for our workers. I call myself sort of a relative newcomer to Seattle. I've only been here 30 years, 2 months and about 10 days. I moved here straight from college at the University of Idaho. Seattle was the closest big city to where I went to undergrad, and I moved here just a few months after my father had passed away on my 22nd birthday. It was a big moment in my life to come to a city where I didn't know a single person. I really started from absolute scratch, and I've been humbled by how many people have embraced me, and I've made Seattle and the greater Puget Sound area my home. I got to my start in the port business working for the Port of Tacoma, where I worked for 6 years. And that's really where I developed my love for what we do. And I've been just humbled and honored to be able to serve the residents of King County at the Port of Seattle, and hope to do so again.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Next is Peter Steinbrecht. 2 minutes to introduce yourself and answer this icebreaker question. If you could write a book guaranteed to be a bestseller, what would you write about?
Oh, I actually have been working on a bit of historical fiction. I love fiction, and I also love nonfiction, but the book I'm working on is called The Secret of the Octagon House, and it takes place in 1800, in the year 1800, the year of the founding of the federal city, also known now as Washington, D.C. And I won't tell you any more about it.
You still have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the
icebreaker.
campaign. Oh, well, I did have more I wanted to tell you about. I'm an architect. I'm running for re-election. I'm a business consultant since I was 18. I've been in small business, and I'm running for the port because I support its core mission to promote economic opportunity, jobs, quality jobs, and support environmental sustainability, and do this with an equitable recovery strategy as we fathom the crisis of COVID. As Port Commissioner, I've worked so hard to create thousands of family wage jobs, dock workers, construction jobs, and more. And I also created a $10 million South King County community impact fund that has funded dozens already of important community projects around environmental resources and sustainability and economic development projects. So I'm very proud of that. It's working well, and we're talking about extending it for another 5 years. So during these challenging times, what we need is strong, experienced leadership that I've been providing at the port that delivers. I have a history of civic activism engagement, starting with the lessons I learned from my father's activist efforts to save the Pike Place Market in 1971, 50 years ago. This year, we're celebrating the initiative's overwhelming success.
Perfect. Thank you. That was time. I appreciate it so much. And next, Toshiko Hasagawa, it is your turn to have 2 minutes and answer this icebreaker question. What is the last best TV show that you watched?
The last best, so not the last bad one.
Right.
TV show, not a movie. I will admit that I actually went down the Downton Abbey rabbit hole. That is just, it's like political drama in a certain way. And it was actually really well done. And I really enjoyed it until about halfway of season 2. So good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Director Ray, and everybody at the Chamber for hosting this space for all of us to be able to come together. My name is Toshiko Hasagawa. I'm a 4th generation Japanese American whose American story begins with my great-grandfather who immigrated through the Port of Seattle in search of economic opportunity. We have always lived on Beacon Hill, including on the flight path, except for 6 years in my 20s, I lived in the city of Burien on 142nd and 6th Avenue Southwest. If I had to shout out my favorite Burien small business, it had to be Rinconcito. You already know. You know, I am so proud to run for the Port of Seattle because I have seen firsthand the impact the port has on the livability of our communities. I've seen firsthand the potential that it can have in families like mine being able to break into the middle class. And I'm running because, you know, as the director of a state agency, I saw how when COVID hit, businesses and families were hit hardest. And I do believe that there were missed opportunities at the port in order to meaningfully support, in particular, airport concessionaires and disadvantaged business enterprises, CARES Act funds that could have and should have gone to support small businesses, making sure that we're reducing barriers for contract opportunities. So I'm running to make sure the recovery lifts all ships. And I look forward to a robust conversation.
Fantastic, thank you. Now we're going to go into our lightning round. So again, feel free to use whatever reactions you want to indicate your support or opposition to the following questions. First question, do you believe the port is doing enough to support DBEs and minority contractors? Perfect, thank you. Next question, do you believe Seatac Airport generates economic benefit for South King County communities? Next question, do you believe Seatac Airport should continue to grow to meet future demand? Do you believe our region needs a secondary commercial airport? Next question, do you support efforts to develop a second commercial airport to meet our region's future air passenger and cargo demand? And last lightning round question, do you support the port's sustainable airport master plan? Perfect. All right, thank you, everyone. And now we're going to go ahead and close the poll to get to our issue question. And it looks like the issue that is on most minds tonight is about airport noise mitigation. So again, airport noise mitigation is a huge concern for our residents living near or within the flight path of Seatac Airport. Some noise mitigation investments have been made. Others are outdated or in need of an upgrade. What should the role of the port be in providing mitigation for residents and businesses impacted by air traffic noise? And we will again go in reverse order here. Toshiko Hasagawa, you have the opportunity to answer this question first.
Thank you so much, Director Ray. And I think that the port has an opportunity to be a meaningful partner interjurisdictionally, in particular with South King County cities that are impacted by the airport. It's not just Seatac, which is in an agreement and is compensated for some of that impact, but it's also places like Burien, like Tukwila, like Des Moines, like Federal Way, that all deserve also to be compensated for the impact that it has on them. And I would also like to point out, in addition to measurable sound pollution, there is measurable air pollution. I think that it's appropriate that the port allocate resources for schools to receive insulation, for schools to receive also air filters, to make sure that we're not continuing upon the path of promoting disparate outcomes for our children. And I also think that for all new construction, how wonderful would it be if that also entailed insulation, so that we can at least in some way be able to mitigate the impact of the experience of living so close to some of that sound and noise impact.
Perfect, thank you so much. Next, Peter Steinbrecht, same question.
Could you please restate the question? I want to be sure to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So airport noise mitigation is a huge concern for residents living near or within the flight path of Seatac Airport. Some noise mitigation investments have been made. Others are outdated or in need of an upgrade. What should the role of the port be in providing mitigation for residents and businesses impacted by air traffic noise?
Sure, thank you. And there are multiple issues regarding airport impacts, which again is why I worked to create the $10 million Community Impact Fund to support South King County communities that are disproportionately impacted by environmental conditions around the port. There's air pollution, there's noise, and there's traffic congestion. And I've been working on all three fronts. I support the work of the Highline Forum and the START Roundtable that have produced some very tangible and productive strategies to reduce noise impacts. I believe that the airport and the port have a responsibility to go beyond the minimum requirements of mitigation. Despite that, the port has already spent hundreds of millions. Many people are suffering from the continued increasing air traffic that is causing extreme anxiety and health issues regarding noise and the air pollution. With regard to noise specifically, I worked with my colleagues to accelerate the noise abatement program.
Sorry, Peter, that time is up. We've got I know it's 1 minute to answer a very complicated question. I appreciate everyone's patience. Stephanie Bowman, 1 minute to answer that same question.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So let me just start with saying, I believe that the port over the years has not done anywhere near enough for noise mitigation. When I started on the commission, over the many years, the idea was that the port would apply to the FAA for funds and then do noise mitigation once those funds are received. We have changed that policy under my leadership, where we are now accelerating our noise insulation projects and funding those up front and then going back to the FAA for reimbursement. But we're not waiting for the FAA anymore before those things happen. I know this because I also live on the flight path being up in Beacon Hill. It's nowhere near what you experience in Seatac and directly around the airport, but I am very familiar with what it's like to live on the flight path. I'd also say that I'm open to reviewing the former port packages, homes that were insulated, but where those packages have failed. And lastly, we need to dramatically increase and keep the tree canopy that we have around our Seatac and airport communities.
Thank you so much. Hamdi Mohammed, same question.
Thank you for the question. Mitigating noise, I will mention a couple things. It's important for us to develop alternative noise metrics that do not rely on just the FAA computer models that track the sensitivity to noise events. We have to increase the arrival of the gliding scopes to a minimum of 3 degrees. And change the flight tracks to ensure that they are meeting the environmental reviews that are already out there. This issue really takes strong regional leadership and advocacy on the federal level. I have both federal and local experience and would be a strong advocate for the South King County community. And I'm proud to say that if elected, I will be the first ever port commissioner from South King County. And so you can count on me to being a strong advocate for the issues that are impacting South King County. And I will also say, while the port covers the whole county, we are all better off when we are all better off. When South King County is doing well, the rest of the county is doing well.
Thank you. Ryan Culkin, same question.
I feel like I need to be additive here because folks have already offered lots of really good insights about the efforts underway and the other things that we need to take. And I would say one additional thing that we need to think about is how we change federal legislation around our ability to address these problems. That these are very expensive problems to fix, and much of the jurisdiction rests in the hands of agencies like the FAA, that the Port of Seattle Commission does not have the power over. And so we need support from our legislators, and many thanks go to Congressman Smith, who has been an absolute leader on this on a national level in addressing the airport impacts, not just at Seatac, but at airport communities around the country. But at the same time, I think probably everybody on here wants to be able to take that trip with their grandkids to Disneyland or go on that really essential business trip across the country. And it means that we do need to provide consistent and affordable air service to our community. And that's only going to get harder to do as our region grows. And so, in response to those lightning round questions, how do we do it and mitigate impacts for our communities at the same time?
Thank you. And Norman Sigler, same question.
Thank you for the question. As I mentioned in my opening, one of my platforms is to get the port to carbon neutrality by 2030. And to do that, we definitely need to right size the air traffic coming in and out of Seatac Airport. Having worked at 3 airlines and route planning being my first job in the airline business, I really understand how airlines schedule their flights in and out of airports. And we need to right size that air travel to reduce the pollution in addition to noise pollution. King County residents give the port annually about $76 million of our tax dollars on a $680 million operating budget. We can use some of that operating funds to specifically address these issues. Again, another issue in my platform is to set aside operating funds or port profits to mitigate these impacts to the communities that are impacted by noise pollution. I'm currently in Normandy Park at my fiance's home, and I hear the airport right now. I can open the door and hear the planes land.
Perfect, thank you. We are at time. So again, it's a lot of information to get into a very short amount of time. We really appreciate you being here and letting our constituents just learn a little bit more about you and your campaign. So thank you so much to all of our Port of Seattle Commission candidates. We will start to unpin you and get our King County Council panel up. Again, thank you so much for participating here tonight. While we bring up our next panel, our candidates for King County Council, we will start to launch our next poll. You can see it there. The issues that matter most to you, please vote. Affordable housing, impacts of Seatac Airport, COVID business recovery, or the King County vaccine verification program. Again, thank you so much. It's my honor to welcome Dr. Shukri Olo and Dave Up the Grove. You will each have 2 minutes to answer an icebreaker question, as well as talk to us a little bit about your campaign and introduce yourself. First is going to be Dr. Shukri Olo. Your icebreaker question is to name a class in school that you wish was offered.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for the opportunity to share more about my candidacy, and to the chamber, thank you so much for organizing this as well. As an organizer, I know just how much work it takes to plan something like this, especially virtually. So Andrea and team, you are killing it. I would probably want to offer a course on critical race theory. My doctoral dissertation was actually on this. Again, my name is Dr. Shukri Olo. Like thousands of residents from South King County, I am a proud refugee. My family and I came to this country after 6 years of the refugee camp in Kenya after the 1991 Civil War. I grew up right here in South King County in the city of Kent, grew up in public housing, was raised by an incredibly strong Black mother, taking care of 3 kids by herself. I'm also a mother, a community organizer, a doctoral scholar, and a candidate for King County Council District 5. And because I'm an organizer, our campaign co-designed the platforms with over 700 people, including small business owners. My mother is a small business owner, and educators and young people. And we have created and co-designed a platform on 4 key areas, including bending the legal system toward justice, investing in public health and human services, building more affordable housing, and supporting small business. And I'm honored that this message has resonated with countless small business owners, with King County Democrats, a sole endorsement from the SEIU 775-925, and countless community members who believe in the vision that we're creating for this district. And I would be honored to have your support and all the folks watching tonight to make history as the first Black woman elected to King County Council in our state's history. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share more, and looking forward to a robust conversation tonight.
Perfect, thank you so much. Next, Dave Up the Grove, you have 2 minutes to introduce yourself and answer this icebreaker question. Please tell us about a movie that you think everyone should watch.
A movie everyone should watch. Oh boy. I'm just going to go with the most recent one I've seen, which was Respect, about the story of Aretha Franklin, and a powerful movie about race, about power, about addiction, and plus some really good music. I think I want to begin by pointing out that the very first COVID death in the nation was right here in King County. And county public health departments are the front line of defense. And by following the science and supporting our public health professionals, I'm proud that King County has the lowest COVID rate of any major urban county in the continental United States. But those of us in South King County know that it has really shined a light on the disparities based on race and income. And that's why I've worked so closely with the community to target resources to our diverse low-income communities in South King County. And as we come out of this pandemic, and we will come out of it, we're facing huge challenges. We need to help homeless individuals get off the street and into housing with support. We need to do a better job addressing public safety. I hear that at the doors every day. And we have an important role to play in trying to get our economy going again, to create jobs and economic opportunity. And one thing I know, the solutions to homelessness, public safety, and the economy aren't going to come out of Seattle. They're going to come from those of us here in South King County working together to solve problems. I love this community. I grew up here attending Gregory Heights Elementary and Sunday school at Lake Berrien Presbyterian. I've loved watching it grow and change. Our diversity is our strength, and I believe all people, regardless of our differences, have value, have something to contribute, and deserve equal rights and fair treatment. Those are my core values.
Fantastic, thank you so much. We will now go into our lightning round. Again, feel free to use whatever reactions you want, Facebook buttons, thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, no, whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with. First question, are county land use regulations and permitting processes doing enough to assure the public interest? Again, are county land use regulations and permitting doing enough? Thank you. Are county investments in unincorporated areas enough to meet the needs of the community? Have infrastructure and transportation improvements received the priority they should in current budgets? Do you support funding for CTE and career pathway programs to help address our education and workforce needs? Do you think it's important to include broad public outreach and engagement when making policy decisions? And do you or will you include the business community as part of outreach and public engagement when considering policy? Fantastic. Thank you so much. And our issue that is top of mind for people is affordable housing and homelessness programs. And so the question for that is, what would you do differently, if anything, to address the affordable housing crisis, including homelessness, than what has already been done? Again, what would you do differently, if anything, to address the affordable housing crisis and homelessness than what has been done recently? You have 1 minute, and again, we will go in reverse order. Dave, since you went last, you will now go first.
Thank you. You know, I believe housing is a human right, and we have a moral responsibility to help get people off the street and into housing with support. You know, it saves lives. It's the right thing to do. It also saves taxpayer money, hospital costs. We need to implement the bold steps we've taken. We've invested $350 million to purchase existing housing and hotels and long-term care facilities in cities that are willing. What we need to do is work in partnership with our cities and our communities to site these facilities. And then I also believe we need to work on converting them into permanent supported housing, not just emergency housing. We need to increase our investments in workforce housing. We need to change our land use laws to allow for more density to incentivize that growth. At the end of the day, this really is a moral question. The American dream is to have a roof over your head and have a home.
Thank you so much. Dr. Shucriolo, your question next.
Thank you so much for the question. You know, I often hear that in politics, it's not personal, and it is personal because housing is a personal challenge and a priority for our campaign. And I want to start with the personal and say that when we talk about affordable housing as a human right, I get it because I've lived it. I grew up 6 years of my life displaced in a refugee camp. I grew up right here in South King County in the city of Kent on a Section 8 voucher. And that was the safety net that my family and I needed to be lifted out of poverty so that I could focus on my education. On the campaign front, we believe that we need deepened tenant protections and rental assistance. Our campaign believes that we need a housing first approach, and not just temporary housing, but a pathway to housing, including permanent supportive housing. And finally, we need a pathway to home ownership. I've been in deep and intentional conversations with housing providers in our community and committed to having an environment where people could go from renting to owning right here in District 5.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much for making the time to be here with us tonight to talk to us a little bit about your vision for King County and for connecting with the Southside community. Appreciate you making the time. Feel free to stay as we welcome in our next panel, which is the King County Executive Panel. And as our team is bringing up that King County Executive Panel, we will go ahead and also launch our next poll so that you can help choose what local issue matters most to you. Thank you again so much for being here, and thank you and welcome Dow Constantine and Senator Joe Nguyen to the program. Again, we will have 2 minutes for you to introduce yourself, to answer an icebreaker question and talk to us a little bit about your campaign. We'll go into lightning round questions, and then we'll answer that issue question. So again, thank you so much for being here this evening. The first question will go to Dow Constantine. Mr. Constantine, what was the last time you did something for the first time?
Oh, wow, that's a really interesting question. You know, the first thing I always think about is my kid. I get to have a lot of firsts having a first child. And I got to drop her off at second grade for the first time just a week and a half or so ago. It's always emotional, but that's probably the first thing.
Perfect. And then you have about 1 minute and 37 seconds just to talk to us a little bit about you.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm Dow Constantine, King County Executive. We are really leading the nation in so many areas, and I'm so proud of the folks that I've brought together in my administration. First and foremost, in this period of crisis, COVID, we've established a nation-leading record on COVID, taking bold and science-centered action to reduce infections and deaths in our community. And you saw last week, we stepped forward again with the vaccine mandate to keep people safe, keep our hospitals from being overwhelmed, keep businesses and schools open. It is not universally popular, but it's the right thing to do, and that has been a consistent theme of my term in office. On homelessness, we've moved forward, as was just discussed, with our Health Through Housing initiative, buying hotels all around the county to move people off the streets with the services to stay housed. On the environment, saving our last best places, $9 billion to clean up our waterways and the sound, and a very progressive climate action plan. And on mobility, today I got to go to the light rail station in the University District that will open on Saturday, a week from now. We're so proud of the investments that we're making in creating true mobility in our region. I'm really pleased to be endorsed not just by many progressive organizations, but by people across the county, including the Eastside Business Alliance, Seattle King County Realtors, and the Rental Housing Association. They know I'm a straight shooter who gets the job done.
Thank you so much. Joanne, it's now your opportunity to tell us 2 minutes, a little bit about yourself, and answer this icebreaker question, which is, when you were 6 years old, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was 6 years old, I think I just started playing t-ball. So I think I had ambitions of becoming a professional baseball player just because I didn't know what was out there, but the cards weren't in it for me, and I didn't make it quite there. So played some high school ball, and that was about it. But first off, thank you so much for having us here today. I'm Senator Joe Nguyen. I'm the son of refugees born in White Center and raised in Burien, so South King County. My family owned a small billiards hall in White Center when I was younger, and then a restaurant when I got a little bit older. And then my sister actually has a small engineering firm now as well. So I do believe that small business is the backbone of our economy. Also, it's bedtime routine. So you hear kids yelling in the background. It's about that time of the night for all you parents out there. And the reason why I'm running for office is because, candidly, I'm impatient. And in the past few months, we've experienced record temperatures, smoke because of wildfires, worsening inequities that have further exacerbated the homelessness crisis, including a failure to distribute hundreds of millions of dollars in rent relief. I believe we deserve better. We deserve more, and we deserve leaders who will step up and do the work. And this is a pivotal moment that requires bold action and leadership. And we have the opportunity to define the future of our county. And I think the very fact that I'm running for office shows that I'm unafraid of tackling big issues. We can't wait around for the status quo to solve problems that have been impacting us for decades now. And I think we deserve leaders who will prioritize fixing the root causes of problems, leaders who come in with executive experience and proven leadership in public office as well. So homelessness, climate change, criminal justice, racial inequities, none of these issues are waiting, so neither am I. And our campaign has already pushed these conversations forward. So imagine what we can do if we were in charge. So first off, right now, thank you for the time. This is not a moment about politics. This is about getting things done. So I'm excited to be here to talk about solutions with you. And sorry for my son in the background.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to go on to some lightning round questions. So again, yes or no, you can thumbs up, you can thumbs down, you can shake your head, however you want. Just let us know support or opposition, yes or no. Do you really want this job? Okay, great. Next question. Do you support creating a leadership model and culture of inclusion? Do you think we're on our way to building back better? Do you support funding for CTE and career pathway programs to help address our education and workforce needs? Do you think it's important to include broad public outreach and engagement when making policy decisions? And do you or will you include the business community as part of outreach and public engagement when considering policy? Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And now taking a look at our issue poll, the #1 issue for South King County tonight is, again, affordable housing and homelessness programs. And so same question for you as it was for the county council candidates. You'll have 1 minute to respond. What would you do differently, if anything, to address the housing crisis, including homelessness, than what has already been done? And since Joe, you were the last to go, you will now go first.
Perfect, thank you. And obviously this is a very complex and tough problem, but in terms of addressing homelessness, it is 3 to 5 times cheaper to keep somebody housed than it is to take them out of homelessness. So I volunteer at a nonprofit that works on family homelessness, and we found that it is very cost effective, but also effective in general to keep people housed. I think diversion and turning off the spigot is one of the biggest things that we can do. Also, we need to have a wider breadth of emergency housing options as well. Whether it's tiny homes, whether it's hotels, whether it's non-congregate shelters. The biggest thing for us right now is to ensure that people have a safe place to become stable, to become housed, and that's how they become better as well. And I think that we can be doing more in terms of mobilizing resources in that capacity as well, and also working with our local jurisdictions. Obviously, this is a very tough issue. I know that people have different perspectives on this as well. And one of the things that we could be doing a lot better is engaging our communities to ensure that we have some of these issues worked out as we're moving forward.
Perfect. Thank you, Executive Constantine.
Well, thank you. First off, in response to what was said earlier, we have already moved $35 million of rental assistance out, and all of the $128 million we have received this year will have been dispersed in rental assistance by the end of October. 50% of the large landlords have already signed up for our program to advance the rental assistance even prior to the time that they're able to certify. So we are moving ahead of other cities nationwide that have been challenged by the federal rules around rental assistance. But you've heard about Best Starts for Kids, our nation-leading program. Part of that is helping to keep children and families from becoming unhoused. And our Health Through Housing initiative, where we are moving people off the streets with the services to stay housed. $350 million to buy facilities, a like amount of money to provide the services to not only house people, get them on their feet and moving forward again towards self-sufficiency. That is the way out of this crisis.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to Senator Wynn, Executive Constantine, for being with us here, sharing some of your priorities and platforms for your campaign and your vision for leadership, especially how it connects to South King County. We appreciate the time that you took to be here today. And of course, thank you to everyone who came, who participated, who engaged, all of our public officials, all of our candidates. And you, our community members, we are so grateful for the time that you took to be with us here today. Thank you to Amazon, thank you to Boeing, thank you to Baker Commodities, Scott and Teresa Schaefer and South King Media. We are recording this so that those who could not join live will still be able to watch the program later at their convenience. Again, thank you so much to all of our elected officials and all of our candidates. We really, really appreciate the time that you took to be here, and of course, all of our partners. It is as important as ever to come together as a community and learn how we can do our part and support our local businesses, keep our economy strong and thriving, and participating in local elections is one of the most important things that we can do. Thank you also for your support to continue to support us. You can donate directly to support our work. You can do that at bit.ly/SSCC support or check out our website for more information. Even a small donation helps us to continue to serve our community And we are so grateful and deeply appreciate any and all contributions. Please don't forget to check out our calendar for more upcoming events. And thank you to staff as well. This was an undertaking to pull off, I'll just say, and thank you for your patience. I know sometimes maybe the timer was a little off as we were trying to switch screens and things. Really appreciate your patience and your grace that you gave us tonight. Thank you. Have a great night. Don't forget to vote. Appreciate it.